Thanks, Katie. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And let me know if you can see that.
Yep.
Can you
We're
see it
good.
okay?
Yep.
Okay. Just a couple of standard items, I guess, before we get into the meat of things. Every day, and another day goes by where I don't have somebody asking me, hey Bob, when is so and so firewall end of life or so and so PenOS end of life, right? Please take advantage of the following URL. I'm actually going to be sharing all the URLs that I'm going to go over, but it goes over our end of life policy, end of sale announcements, software end of life, and hardware end of life. And if you click on hardware end of life, right, and for example, you have any 3000 series in here, you will see that end of life date is October 31st, 2024, right? But the fact that a piece of hardware doesn't go end of life at a certain date doesn't mean that that's the date you should be using for your lifecycle management. It's very important because, as you note here, the latest supported PenOS is 9.1, right? So a lot of organizations made the mistake. They just come in here, they look at end of life, and that's how they budget, that's how they life cycle. That's not the correct way to do it. The correct way to do it is by the latest OS. If it's not within one version, that is an indication for you to refresh the hardware or to plan it adequately. Because if you go back here, if you go to PenOS, software end of life, right? If you look at 9.1, right, you will see that it end of life is December 13, 2023, so this year. So you might think that you can have those 3200s for another year, but what you're doing is you're going to be using PenOS that's going to be in what we call maintenance mode, which is going to be maintaining its life until the hardware is end of life. And I hope that makes sense. If there's any questions, just go ahead and pop it in the Q&A. Next thing is a lot of customers don't realize that we actually have and then I think we've already pasted this in here, that we actually have a public page that yeah, that's the correct the one that has like been pasted is the correct one. I guess I was pasting the wrong one. We actually have a public page on our live community. Give me one sec here, guys. Okay, hold on. It's release guidance, right? And in here you can go and determine what is the latest version of particular PenOS that is recommended at a given time. So right now you can see that PenOS 11 got a preferred release, right? Thank you. Somebody actually pasted the correct link in here. I appreciate that. And this will actually require you to sign in with your customer support portal credentials, as this is somewhat of an internal resource to customers. Okay. Again, very, very important piece of information for you to continue to review, right? Next thing is compatibility matrix. Customers, a lot of customers don't know that we have this. If you want to see, for example, somebody asked a Cortex XDR endpoint security question, right? okay, where can I install these agents? Where can I install the Cortex XDR agents? What PenOS versions are supported on a specific model, et cetera, right? Where can I install CN series firewalls with, all those questions, all the compatibility questions are actually answered in here. It's a very, very detailed web page. So if you didn't know about that, please go to this. A lot of customers, also another thing is, again, it's a kind of a daily thing that I do, right? I'm not kidding that not a day goes by when I don't get one of those questions asked, or sometimes multiple times, right? That customers are not, they're not aware, or they simply forget sometimes which level of support they have. And sometimes they think that they are on platinum support, whereas they're on standard or premium, right? So please do familiarize yourself with the contract that was negotiated and the support experience that you're entitled to, especially when it comes to response time, right? Standard support, for example, critical severity has a 2-hour response time. With premium, it goes down to an hour. With platinum, it goes down to 15 minutes, right? And so on and so on. Focus services that basically gives you access to dedicated resources that help you manage a variety of support related issues, including root cause analysis and so forth. So please do take advantage of this. If you did not know, we continually publish and update our best practices. Another fantastic resource, right? Again, a lot of times I get questions from customers and I just end up sending a link to best practices to a specific document, right? Data center best practices, migrating to application-based policies, right? Decryption, we had some questions here. And yes, SSL inspection is required, right? In today's day and age, if we want to take full advantage of all the subscriptions and security capabilities that we offer, SSL inspection is really a requirement these days, right? Majority of the traffic is encrypted. So if you want to take full advantage of advanced threat prevention, wildfire, URL filtering, DNS, SSL inspection should be enabled, right? And it's actually quite easy to do. You can actually self-sign an Active Directory certificate, so you don't have to push any certificates. Our firewall certificate is going to automatically be trusted. And you can exclude websites that your legal and HR, for example, that does not want you to scan things like medical, legal, right? Financial, you can easily exclude those as well. So please take advantage of it. Please take some time to review this. Please note that I believe as of first week of next month, you will no longer be able to run best practices through the customer support portal. So if you log into customer support portal, let me just give me a second here. So if you go to customer support portal, or you go to resources, right? You used to have the ability to run, those security lifecycle reviews still gonna stay, but let me just go here. You will not be able to run best practice assessments anymore. You're gonna have to, today it's under tools. That will basically redirect you to AI ops. So AI ops, it's AI operations for the firewall. And if you're not familiar with it, if you have not had a chance to familiarize yourself with it, I highly recommend that you do. I'm going to go ahead and and post this, share this link with you too, but just give me 1 second here. I'm using a lot of resources because there's a lot of things that I need to share. So let me see here. I don't think I have a. One second here. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find. There you go. So basically, what happens is that majority of breaches are actually caused by human error and misconfigurations or inability to take full advantage of what the customers are paying for, you know, with that comes included with the subscriptions, right? There's a lot of security that is at your disposal, but we sometimes get busy, distracted, and you know we wear multiple hats, and human error has become significant to the point where the industry started requiring, or the customers started expecting, automation that will validate the configuration, make sure that we're taking advantage of everything that the customer has access to, right? Predictive analysis, et cetera, right? So we have things like guided best practice recommendations, right? Machine learning powered predictions and anomaly detection, right? Simplified support ticket creation right from within AI ops, right? Proactive health checks and security posture alerts, right? Config hygiene, rules hygiene, right? Security efficacy reports and visualizations, right? All of that is now changing, and it's going into this AI ops, right? And there's different levels of AI ops with different capabilities, right? There's of course the free version, and then there's of course the premium version. Everyone is entitled to the free version of AI ops, right? And everything that is in white on the screen is available to you at no cost, including the best practice assessments, the guided best practice, the best practices, right? Anything that is in green comes included with the premium version, right? And the gold dots are basically denoting the security subscriptions that are required to take advantage of this functionality, right? So it's pretty straightforward, right? The requirement here is that all of your logs, not for the free version, but for the premium version, are that you're sending all of your firewall logs to firewall data lake. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. But this is kind of the future, right? Where AI is going to be helping you enforce security policies based on what we see in your environment, right? So I just wanted to point that out. A lot of customers don't realize that we actually have very detailed reference architectures for zero trust, network security, data center segmentation, ability to automate deployments in AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, how to deploy container firewalls, right, within the container environment and so forth. The one other interesting announcement that we have made is we've just released, and it's in preview as of a couple months ago, a cloud firewall for Azure. It's actually a platform as a service where you no longer have to deploy your VM series instances and load balance them, and create your DevOps deployments and so forth, which has been simplified with Panorama, right? Panorama can now actually help you deploy your VM-Series firewall and with various cloud providers, right? But nonetheless, you now have the ability to purchase the same firewall with the same set of capabilities as if you were to manage it on your own as a platform. And it will support the same deployment architectures, but you will no longer have to manage the backend instances. It's going to auto scale. It's sold based on throughput. It's pretty easy. Comes with all the subscriptions. Very easy model. This has been long coming. A lot of customers love it. I already have customers that are migrating from their self-managed to the preview version. So please talk to your SC about that if you're deploying into cloud. Another very interesting thing, a lot of customers might not realize that if you purchase threat prevention, we actually include a long list of external dynamic lists, right? We actually source these from via our threat exchange organization via third-party agreements with a lot of other security vendors. I think we have over 30 security vendors today participating in our threat exchange program. And then we also source our own, of course, through Wildfire and so forth. But, now we have over 30, we're aggregating over 30 sources of blacklists, and it's just included with threat prevention. And if you did not know that, please take advantage of it. It's of incredible value, right? I have my home firewall over here where I put my kids on a vWire because they started poking on my internal interface, and I got tired of looking at the logs. But so if you look at this, you just go from source to destination, right? And then you can just take all of the Palo Alto dynamic blacklists and just block all the communications to and from. And that list continues to expand, right? Tor exits, bulletproof IP addresses, high-risk IP addresses, no malicious IP addresses, right? Now, where am I going with this? The reason why I point this out is that there is a lot of cloud providers that have dynamic IP addressing schemas globally, right? So you might be getting your Microsoft updates from North America today, and tomorrow they might be coming from Central America or South America. And it happens a lot, right? Depending on their load, latencies, and so forth. And a lot of times when you have geolocation security enabled, right? Or if you have a highly fine-tuned DDoS and interface security controls in place, a lot of times those cloud providers will get blocked. So what we've done is we've published an external dynamic list. We've created an external dynamic list hosting service for customers to tap into, right? To be able to whitelist Microsoft 365, Azure, AWS, GCP IP addresses, so that you no longer incur those false positives. A lot of time and money and effort went into creating this, right? It requires a lot of work, right? Just like our threat exchange. So please take advantage of it. It's so easy you just copy the URL, right? And then you just add it as another external dynamic list source. And then you can just go ahead and start utilizing that. All right. Should I take a pause for some questions, Katie? Perhaps just it might be a good time before I go to other things. 'Cause
Yeah, that would be
there's
great.
ton.
Yeah, you can definitely address some of the questions now. I see there's a good amount in the Q&A tool.
Yep. So
Yeah, go for
Bob,
it.
there was a couple of about the AI Ops BPA, and I wasn't sure on the answers of those. So
okay, cool. Thank you. So before I even go into, there's a couple of other things I want to mention. There was a question that I forgot to answer. Give me 1 second here. So Jason, there was a question that I forgot to answer, so I'm going to answer that. So the new Advanced Threat Prevention subscription, it has a new model, and Jason can talk to it a little bit more. But it has a ML model for SSL, and it leverages an encrypted traffic classifier that has the ability to parse various portions of the SSL handshake and determine if that network flows is malicious without the need to fully decrypt it. This does not mean that you no longer have to have SSL inspection enabled, okay? This is kind of for those environments where SSL inspection is not something you can deploy. And it's just something to give you an additional layer of security to close that gap between unencrypted inspection and SSL inspection, okay? I hope that answers that question. That was very important, I thought. Will AIOps BPA have the spreadsheet the support portal has? It will not, because it will actually be guided, and that spreadsheet will be live and operationalized within the portal. Next, will the legacy customers, customer success and CSP method for creating BPA go away? Okay, yes. So you will no longer be able to upload your log files to the customer support portal to create BPA. That will simply disappear from your customer support portal sometime next month. And you will not need premium version of AIOps. You just need, you can just get that done with the free version of AIOps. And I'm gonna go ahead and provide a link to how to enable AIOps within your hub, within your Palo Alto portal. Great news about PA and Azure as a service. We have been running a set of load balance PAs on Azure. Furious, what is the migration process? Not enough time to discuss it, but you could literally copy and paste the config. But I highly recommend you speak to your SC on how to move from one to the other. A ton of customers are doing that right now, and we've got it down. So that question can go away. Anonymous attendee, where is the Azure external dynamic list URL? Right here. So if you just go to docs.paloaltonetworks.com here, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that, type answer. All right. Is the PA on Azure as a service available on Azure Gov? I don't remember off the top of my head. You're going to have to check with your SC. So please just shoot them an email. So that, moving on to Dave T's question. I don't see, or am I able to find the best practice URL in the Q&A? I'm not quite sure I followed that question. I don't see, or am I able to find the best practice URL in the Q&A? So today, I'm just going to walk you through that really quick. So today, if you go to customer support portal, and that's David T. if you go to customer support portal, if you go to tools, the best practice assessment is under tools. And that will go away and you will need to go to AI ops. If, you know, you can just go to paloaltonetworks.com security AI ops, and then on the bottom it'll tell you how to go ahead and enable that for your firewalls. Okay. Go ahead and do the next one. David T again. What was the URL for the dynamic lists? I think I already shared that, but I'll share that again. That J. Which URL are you referring, Jay? So if you could just repost. All the URLs. All the URLs are actually publicly accessible. You can also Google them and it'll come up as well. Let me just read the, hi Jason, the customer already added me.
Do you know if there's a separate user mechanism for AI ops that
Yeah,
needed?
you have to be the site admin. So you need to go to the CSP, and if you're adding users to the customer support portal, they have to have specific rights. So when you're enabling AI ops, it actually tells you in the documentations the user the level of access that is required for you to be able to use it. Okay. So just start with that AI ops page here and go to how to enable section and follow the documentation. Yeah. Refer to the list of new features available in PenOS 11. Yes, actually, you know what? I'm going to do you one better. When we're done with this session, Katie will share this document with you. It's a spreadsheet that has a running tally of all the enhancements since 9.0 up through 11. And that brings me to another interesting point. When you can simply go to docs.paloaltonetworks.com. You go to PenOS right here. And then you go to what's new section. Getting started with PenOS 11, what's new, etc., right? So here. So that should do it. Let me do this. And then I actually have a link here, and I'm gonna, some of you guys are one step ahead of me, but I love these questions because it kind of, it just kind of proves the point. So how busy we get, right? Because we all wear multiple hats, and we sometimes forget all the resources that are at your disposal and or how to use them, right? So I'm glad that we're doing this. To be clear, not the VPA. Okay. All the URLs I'm going to go ahead and share. We're just kind of, you can just Google those too, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add a slide or two to my presentation that I'm going to share, and I'm going to include all of the links. So don't worry about the links, guys, right now. Next question is, let me see. Yeah, I had a nice note from someone here that customers can continue to use the BPA and configuration wizard until July 15, 15, 2023, after which AI apps for GFW will replace both of them. So thank you for posting that. I knew it was sometime next month. A question from Jay. These external dynamic lists are predefined, so we can't make any changes. Any update PA will do automatically. That is correct. Those external dynamic lists are maintained by us. If you wanted to make changes, you would have to download the list and modify it and create your own custom source. You know, you're capable of doing it. You're able to do that if you wanted to for some reason. But we work with these providers, and we have a back channel to make sure that every time something changes on their back end, it is reflected in our list. So you should have no need to do anything with that. Okay, done. Answer live, done. Done. No, you do not, anonymous attendee ask the question, do we need a CDL subscription for AI apps for free? No, you do not. The free version of AI apps, we actually give you some storage at no additional cost for you to be able to perform all the basic functions of the system. Done, done, done. I think we caught up. I'd like to continue. Next, you know, this is another capability that I don't think customers are aware that we can actually do. So I think that everyone here knows that what an application ID is, right? And what application decoders are, right? It's kind of the secret sauce of Palo Alto and what kind of made us so successful, right? So, for example, if I type, you know, Facebook here, we have the ability to identify Facebook app, SaaS application, and all of its sub applications by function, and you're capable of, you have the ability of controlling how much access a user or a user group has over a specific application function, right? And that's very powerful. And I wish I could do a polling question here today, because I'm curious how many customers on this call we have. I don't know, 170 to 200 people here on this call. How many of you are actually taking full advantage of App ID, right? It's a very powerful security tool. And if you have the ability to classify your business applications as sanctioned, and then everything else would be unsanctioned, right, that you could block, and then you would have the applications that you could simply tolerate, right? And you could create those policies, and you can control those functions based on source, destination, user, group, and it's all objects, right? So however creative you want to get to meet your security requirements. And I continue to conduct best practice assessments and security lifecycle assessments reports, and I see that customers continue to fail to take full advantage of this powerful functionality, right? And I highly recommend that you go to our best practice section, right, and read a document on a transition, right, into application ID, to application-based policies, right? Convert port-based security policies to application-based security policies. If there was like one thing that I would love for you guys to do, is to start thinking how you're going to do that, right? Other than the SSL inspection, which is just becoming a norm, right? And they're right next to each other, guys, right? For a reason, right? So we take this to the whole new level with SaaS Security Inline subscription. What we found out is that a lot of customers came to us and said, hey guys, how do you secure SaaS applications? And it's a very loaded question, right? And give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead. I have a little cheat sheet here. Basically, what happens is application ID delivers level 1, right? Then you have things like CASB security, right? Or SaaS APIs. And that's totally different way of securing applications, right? Inline versus API. Our inline application ID decoders, we're at about 5,000. So we have a little cheat sheet on our website. I don't know if you guys knew this. Applepedia, that Palo Alto Networks, and you can actually see how many AppID officially supported AppID decoders we currently have, as in the ones that will allow you to deliver granular control over the application and classify the risk of the application, via which you can also enforce security policies, right? So you could literally click here, right? But that's not enough, right? We know how many SaaS applications are being created every day, right? So what we did is we had to augment that, because CASB technology was not enough. True CASB security APIs, there's not that many SaaS providers, SaaS application providers, that have what I would consider adequate security APIs for us to be able to integrate with. And we're kind of we were at a mercy of those SaaS application providers, because it costs money for them to implement those APIs. And what they started to do is kind of skim down a little bit and just give you access to their logs versus ability to give you real-time access to data in line. So what we did is we also released this capability of SaaS security inline, which has the ability to identify SaaS application risk with machine learning and deep learning. And we're going to be able to identify over 30 different characteristics of an application and be able to classify it as malicious or not, based on which you can then create security policies for applications we, or the market in general, does not have decoders for, and for applications that simply don't have security APIs. And this is a very powerful technology, right? And really, I highly encourage that you take a look at that, because it's kind of the future, right? There's going to be hundreds of SaaS applications released on daily basis, and without AI capabilities, the ability to secure them will diminish without this type of technology, right? Because we're not going to be able to keep up creating decoders at that pace. So we needed to come up with a technology that can close that gap. What else? So that was another very interesting thing. I don't know if you guys knew, we are now able to do DLP inline. We've actually purchased a DLP company last year, and we're going to be expanding that offering across the board. So that's yet another subscription that's now available to customers. Just wanted to point that out. So if you didn't know that, and it's a requirement, please talk to your SC. Again, I wish I could do a polling question. I wonder how many folks on this call, number one, have advanced URL filtering subscription, and whether you knew that we actually have credential phishing prevention capabilities, and we've had them for a couple of years or more. Basically, we now are able to look at your approved SaaS applications, right? And then based on that, we understand that those are safe and sanctioned by your organization. But if you have tolerated applications or applications that fall out of that scope, we will ensure that the users are not using their official credentials to log into those applications, or they get lazy and they try to use the same username and password for SaaS applications that have nothing to do with your business. So we're actually able to ensure that that does not happen. And I don't know if you guys knew that, and it's something that you can very easily enable. Let me go ahead and do one more thing. I wonder how many folks knew that we have that you guys have access to a wildfire dashboard, and that you have the ability to utilize wildfire APIs to upload files to it for analysis. And then you get that PDF report back to you telling you, why it is or isn't malicious, with all the supporting information, right? So let me just go ahead. I do want to, with that said, I do want to bring something to your attention while this portal is loading for me. I have so much going on here. As most of you, this is an email that I sent to my customers, and I'm just going to go over this because this is very, very important for everyone that's using Wildfire. Wildfire subscription included free third-party API integration for many, many years. You could integrate with Proofpoint, EmailTap, and Social Patrol. You could even integrate it with Carbon Black, Splunk, etc. But as of February of this year, this functionality will require a standalone Wildfire API subscription. So I will actually include this in one of the slides, right? Now, if you've never leveraged this integration, please look at it, go over it, and I encourage you that you give it a test, right? You can add Wildfire as an additional source of threat intelligence into your Proofpoint console, for example, right? Or into your, it could be a source of enrichment for your security operations, right? Now, on a side note, any customer with a Wildfire subscription today will continue to be entitled to 1,000 submissions and 10,000 Wildfire queries via the Wildfire web portal API query system, okay? It's very important. So you're going to be able to upload up to 1,000 samples through this web interface, and up to 10,000 via the API automation scripts, okay? So you can just upload a file, right? And then it's going to process it. It's going to create a report. It's going to tell you malicious or not. All the indicator IOCs are going to be included, and a summary of why it was or wasn't malicious. So, and there's a key word here, guys. Any customers with a valid subscriptions today, once your current subscription expires, the new subscriptions will include 150 file submissions through the web portal, and I think it's 1,500 queries per day. I must have mistyped this. And we did this because customers and third parties were kind of starting to take advantage of this kind of a loophole, right? Because anybody could plug into our file on the back end and start using it as a third-party validation tool, even with competitive products. So it was kind of a loophole, and we needed to close this because we were enabling third parties to compete with us. So this needed to change. And that's really the result of that, okay? So please, if you haven't done this, please upload some files. You know, your threat analyst, your SOC team, you can just create a user ID, user ID in your customer support portal, give them access to the Wildfire, and then they can start using this, right? And then you can automate it through the APIs, right? So let me see here. How much time do I still have? Left, Katie?
You have about 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. Let me see. I think I've gone over everything that I wanted to. Are there any additional questions that we have? Jay, I lost the context in terms of haven't used this feature, scanning username, password. Not sure what you mean by that, but I'm assuming you might have been referring to the credential theft prevention as part of URL. Okay, yeah, okay, thanks. Answer live, done. Answer live, done. Somebody type, I'd like to look at your home setup if you have time to kill. Yeah, shoot me an email. I'll walk you through it. It's blewinsky@paloaltonetworks.com, and I'm more than happy to go over that, how I keep my kids in check. What I'm also going to do here is share with you guys a couple of presentations that go over everything I've covered, and a couple of even other things. We have time. I wasn't sure if we're going to have time or not, but just give me one quick second. I want to go ahead, since we have 10 minutes. I'm going to share a Prezzo with you guys, and I encourage you guys to take a screenshot of it. It's kind of a cheat sheet of all the types of SaaS security capabilities that we're able to deliver, and a lot of customers are not aware that we're capable of addressing all of these. And then we're starting to add, ChatGPT security decoders as well. But AppID as foundation delivers your inline security, and it doesn't require any APIs. And that's data scan inline. There's no subscription required. It's included with any of the NGFW form factor, right? Including our SASE Prisma Access. SaaS inline security, that's what we were just talking about, right? It's leveraging that AppID cloud engine, the machine learning. It's basically risk assessment and compliance and shadow ID discovery and control. And so that's a subscription, and you can purchase that with your next gen firewall or with your ELA or with your Prisma Access. CASB APIs, that's your native direct access APIs, and it's securing data as it is accessed, right? That could be purchased standalone, or it could be part of Prisma Access, right? Security Service Edge slash CASB. Slash remote access. We also have SSPM, SaaS Security Posture Management. So this will allow you to control application functions, like for example, Salesforce or Workday, and make sure that it has not been misconfigured and over provisioned, right, with permissions. So this is kind of a new and evolving technology. It's still kind of new. We actually have it. It's going to be available for sale as a standalone technology, just like CASB, or as part of our security service edge, which is Prisma Access, right? And you're going to be able to manage all of it from a single console. And then, of course, DLP. It's native direct access APIs, right? So that's for your CASB. CASB cannot live without DLP, right? And then we have, we can deliver DLP inline on the firewall as well, right? So, and it's, there's some limitations as to which SaaS applications we can do that with, but we have pretty good documentation that will tell you which applications we can inspect with DLP. So wanted to share that with you. It's kind of like a additional piece of information, right? One other thing, Katie, how are we on time? Do I have 3 more minutes?
Yep, 3 more minutes.
Okay, cool. If you're still using your standard user ID configuration on Panorama and in your firewalls, directly attaching to your Active Directory, you might want to reconsider it because that it becomes challenging, right? Especially when you're starting to redistribute your user IDs and user ID credentials, right? For policy enforcement. So we have now introduced Cloud Identity Engine, which is a system in the cloud that's going to be able to aggregate all of your user ID sources, based on which you will now be able to enforce policy across your entire Palo Alto environment, whether it's Prisma Access, right? SSE, SASE, right? Whether it's your firewalls, physical firewalls, virtual firewalls, right? It doesn't matter. So it's a central point of us aggregating all of your user credentials. And then based on that, you're going to be able to enforce policies. In fact, you're going to be able to create your own groups across different directories. You're going to be able to read different directory objects based on which you're going to be able to enforce policies. This is going to be fairly advanced. It was long coming, and it's going to make everyone's lives so much easier. I would compare this enhancement level to AI ops. I mean, it's of the same scale, right? It's going to be very immensely helpful. Again, I'm going to send a link and information on that with my as a follow-up to this session. I know I've gone, Katie, I've gone about over a lot of stuff, but you know, there's a lot going on.
No, that's great. I think you have time to answer just those 2 lingering questions left in the Q&A if you want.
Okay, let me just launch that. From Jem, regarding credential submission, this is only applicable to using an inline firewall, correct? As I should be able to use my office email. As I should be able to use my office email and register to unsanctioned application or site for my. Well, so that is correct. For the credential theft prevention, you have to be behind a firewall, or you could be using our Prisma Access, right? Our secure service edge, our remote access technology, right? So regardless of where you're going to be, if you have one of those 2, user will always be going through that system. Is Cloud Identity Engine, I'm assuming, IE, is that what you mean? Okay. No, Cloud Identity Engine is part of a subscription. So so SaaS Inline Security, SaaS Security Inline, that's a subscription that gives you access to the Cloud Identity Engine. right? Or FID cloud entry. That's all I had, Katie.
Okay, great.